did want to back out a
Hmm.
little bit to your coming out in 98. You
Oh
came out
yeah.
being homosexual. And
Hmm.
look, that's what happened then was a fascinating thing. But to me, what was more fascinating was the fact that you were damn near 40 or in your 40s
Hmm.
before that came out. So it makes me wonder, what kind of struggles did you experience, and why did it take so long for you to actually come out with that, or how long did you
It, it,
struggle with
it,
that?
I could say a whole lot, but the biggest thing was that I just woke up one day and realized I got to be me, um, and not change anything other than not. How do I say this? Okay, you live all those years, and most people don't know you're gay. And they ask, "Why aren't you married?" Or "Why aren't you this?" And they never see me with a girl, and they never, and it's like, it's obvious, but many people never thought of that. They just thought, "Oh, well, he's just too picky," or he just, and all that stuff. And the other thing also was that when I was around, well, I remember when I was really little, my cousin, no, it's my uncle, yeah, he was in another room talking to a relative, and when you're a kid, you hear your parents talking or your relatives talking. I heard all the shit. They didn't think you did, and they didn't think we knew what we were talking about. But they said something about me, and my uncle said one about my brothers is being gay or something. And there's two of us. My brother, he passed away, but he was gay too. And my uncle said something to the effect of, "Is I that way too?" And she goes, "No, he ain't." So at around 5 years old, I didn't know what it was, but I knew that if I was that, I wasn't gonna be loved,
Wasn't going
and
to
my
be nice.
mother's not gonna love me. Around 10, I remember I was in my backyard playing, and my cousin comes out and says, "Dougie, if you grew up to be a punk, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you." He looked at me like this, just fucking hate in his eyes, and I mean, he's a cool relative, but that look scared me. So I knew that being feminine was wrong. And I wasn't, but I'm a very adamant person. I'm a very just that's me.
Yeah.
And they mistook me as he must be gay. And I can tell the reason I know that is because my little nephew, when he was a baby, he stayed with me for about 8 months, and he was a little me. And I saw the emotion, the just the exaggerated human that he was, and I thought, "Oh, that was me. No wonder they treated me that way. They didn't know what to do with it."
Yeah.
But I took it as, "Okay, another thing, something's wrong with me." Then I remember after that, it was like you just heard at church, "If you're homosexual, God's gonna send you to hell." Didn't know what it was, but I knew that if you were, you're going to hell. It was always told me. And then I remember I was about 14, and this I met this kid. We were both walking home from school, and he turned around and put his hand on my shoulders and said, "You be careful now." And I went a block down the street. We lived out in the country. That was the first time in my life that anybody appeared to be concerned about me in any way.
Huh.
And I remember that light went on. And then I got that disease. I was in love. And that's all I could think about. So it wasn't love. It was that addiction to someone who gave you attention.
Yeah.
And
At that age, you don't know love
I
really either.
didn't. M But that became my addiction for most of my life till I realized that it wasn't love. And then when I found it wasn't love, I'm going, "Oh my god, all that time I thought it was love." They give and they pull, and they give and they pull. The drama of wanting them, then they're there, and you're okay, and then they leave, and you're freaking out. Well, that's the way it was with my mom and my grandma,
Yeah.
so I just became addicted to that nature. And finally, in the last 5 or 6 years, I see that, and it's just drastically changed the way I see everything. But, uh, my point was, because the question was,
And so why did it take so
oh,
long?
okay, yes,
Mhm.
why did it take so long? At that point, I didn't care. I didn't go around telling everybody. I didn't make a big deal about it. I just got to the point where I just don't care if anybody knows or not. And so I was doing an interview for this Christian magazine. And for some reason, the subject came up or something came up. I don't remember what it was, but I thought to myself, just go ahead and fucking say it. And I did, and the funny thing about it was the record company calls me up and says, man, next time you decide to do something like that, let us know. And that's when I realized, oh yeah, I'm in a business. Okay, there's all this
Yeah.
image bullshit going. Second thing was all the Christian record stores barred King's X records. And I remember Ty to saying, good, now we can go be who we want to be and make music the way we want to.
Right.
And no one had a problem with it. And those who had a problem with it left. And the ones who didn't give a fuck are still here. And at the end of the day, it didn't change nothing,
Yeah.
actually. And we just learned that it's more important to be yourself than the approval of someone, especially if you're gonna lie about it. And that was the whole thing about the religious aspect of my Christianity. It was just the lies that were
Yeah.
buried.
So did you feel like a monkey off your back at that point also? I mean, not just band wise, but
Mm, mm,
did it feel
mm,
like did you feel
no,
constrained at
I
all up
didn't
to
feel
that point?
anything. You know why? Because nobody made a big deal about it.
Okay.
There was hardly a word. I forgot all about it, and every now and then we'll do an interview and somebody will bring it up and go, "Oh, yeah." And still to this day, if somebody mentions gay in on a thread that I'm in or something, most people come back and go, "I didn't know he was gay, but I don't care."
Right.
It's like, no, it's just I love the way Michael Stipe said it. He just says, "I thought everybody knew I was gay. I just never talked about it." And that's how I am. It's like I just really, unless you ask me, but I'm not gonna go, "Hi, I'm Doug. I'm gay." It's like I just go, "Come on."
Yeah.
But yeah, and so after that, it just, I mean, as okay, one thing I got to say is it took me about 5 years to completely be able to be okay with being gay and not being a Christian. It took that while to just get it all the shame out of me.
Yeah.
And at that point now I'm fine.
Yeah. You'd spent a long time in that shell trying to figure it
I
out.
stayed in that longer than I feel like I should have, and I laugh now. There's joy in my life because I laugh at how long it took me to wake up to at least what I'm feeling now, and I'm looking forward to more waking up.
Yeah.
But I laugh now and chuckle. Yeah, I literally do. And I go, man, and I look back and go, if I was a dad and I saw me 20, 30 years ago and watch me going through what I went through, what would I do? And I looked and I thought all I could see was love and patience. And I would laugh because, yeah, he's in love, but he'll get over it and he'll find somebody that really loves. It's okay. He's crying now, but come on. And I kind of sit there on the outside looking at myself going, that's really who you are. It's just a person who's growing up and learning.
Yeah.
Quit hanging on to all that. And that was my biggest problem is I clung to everything that I thought was wrong with me. I clung to it. I owned it. It became who I am, and that's the thing you have to dismantle.
That's
And at
interesting.
this point, I don't know who I am right now, but I know I like to sing. And I know that I get up there in front of people and do things and they seem to like it. So I guess I'll keep doing that. Um, and as for approval, I go, it's nice when people like what you do, but I'm just doing this because I like to do it. Come on over and hang out.
Yeah.
I got a quick story to say. I went to see Jack White, and I've always been fascinated with Jack White, but I've never really dug into White Stripes and stuff. I've just played the records one or two times, and I've just noticed some kind of there's this realness to it, raw realness,
Absolutely.
but I never dug into it. You just kind of moving on. But I always determine, I go, what is that? And I've always felt like I want some of that. I want to understand where you're coming from. So I got invited to go see him play a couple months ago here in town, and I went. And I sat there, and he came on, and he had amps behind them so loud, it was just noise. It was awesome. In front of him was like 5 monitors or 6 of them, and the whole stage was his. It's just and the band was way behind him. And I'm thinking, first thing I judged, "Oh, man, who is this guy? Man, who does he think he is?" Then he went into what he did, and I sat there with my jaw on the ground and was entertained to the last note. Then I got to meet him afterwards, and he walks up, and he's heard of King's X, and he had found out that we were doing a documentary by one of the guys that was working on the documentary. He had seen him a couple nights ago, so they had discussed it. But the first thing he said was, "I'm excited for you and your documentary." And I said to him, I said, "Dude, watching you tonight was like watching a kid in his bedroom acting out to the full extent, then thanking his friends for watching him." And he gave me a hug with teary-eyed and said, "Thank you."
That's awesome.
And then I go talk to your people, and he went on to talk to people. But it was like, that's what that's what I'm learning. That was a big epiphany for me, and that was a couple months ago. Was like, come on, Duck, strip it, strip yourself down. Not musically, personally. Be you. Life's too short to be worried about what other people think. And I would say that as much as I don't want to admit it, my problem my whole life is worry about what people think. Cause seems like that's what I dwelled on.
Yeah. But part of that's the industry too,
Oh
because you're
yeah.
kind of
Oh,
stuck having to put stuff out there,
dude,
hoping,
I tell people all the time. They go, "What do you think of that picture? That picture?" I go, "Dude, I've had 100,000, maybe millions of pictures I've seen of me. I've seen myself in thousands of videos. Don't send me a video of myself. I see everything I hate about myself, and it got to the point, and I laugh about it now because I look back and go, everything I see, I go, ain't nothing wrong with you. Not a fucking thing's wrong with you. So now when I see something, I just go and I check and go, yeah, that was me, and keep on going.